Let's make a worm farm. You're going to need 2 containers. The first will be where your worms and your compost will go, and it's going to need to fit into your second container where your worm castings are going to drop. Try and use something you already have. Buckets work just fine too. I just found these in my garage. Next, we're going to poke some holes in our top bucket, which is going to allow the worm poop from all the compost they eat to leak down into the bottom bucket. You'll need to find something to separate your containers so that the liquid has enough room to filter down through the holes. We chose a tiny planter. Now we can fill our top container with compost for the worms to eat. Before you throw anything away in your house, you can check to see if it's compostable. Things that are compostable are paper, because it comes from trees, tea bags, unless they have a staple in it. You'll want to take the staple out. Cardboard, fruit and veggie scraps, coffee grounds, dried plants and leaves, eggshells, flowers, carton. We can throw pasta and bread and any grains that don't have oil on them. We can even throw a hair in there that falls out in the shower. We don't want to throw in any fruits or veggies that are too acidic, like oranges, lemons, limes, pineapples. Those aren't good for the worms' bellies. We also don't want to add any processed food. No meat, no cheese, no yogurt, no dairy, nothing spicy. You also want to make sure to have the same amount of wet and dry material in your bin so that the soil doesn't get too moist. And you don't want to overfeed your worms. Try and check on them every 2 to 3 days, and if they don't seem overwhelmed by the food, then you can add some more. Check with your gardening friends to see if they have any worms that you can have. But if not, you can always go to a local gardening center or a nursery or order them online. After 1 or 2 weeks of feeding and hydrating properly, your worms are going to multiply really quickly. So soon you'll have plenty to share with a friend or to start a second worm farm. Worms need shade, so we're going to put our lid on top. We're going to poke tiny holes small enough for the worms not to fit through to let some air in, and then we're going to keep our container in a place that's dark and cooler than 84 degrees. You'll want to check on your worms at least once a week if you're not filling it with compost every 2 to 3 days to make sure that they're eating everything and that their soil's not too dry. Worms need to stay hydrated, so you also might want to add some water if the soil is not looking too wet already. After the first couple of weeks, once the worms are assimilated and have eaten through a lot of your compost, they'll probably have already created some fertilizer that will drip into your bottom bucket. You can then pour all that fertilizer into a spray bottle or a watering can, dilute it with some water, and add it to your garden.